Welcome to Retro Scale Modelling. This is part 6 of the Hachette HMS hood scale 1 to 200. In part 5 I made up the gun turrets and the mounts. In part 6 I'm going to be starting the assembly of the guns. So let's jump into this. Before I begin, I'm just going back to the turret number 4, which the decal was on. I put another coat of grey on there, so as you can see the decal now is just barely showing through. And that's the effect that I want to achieve. You can barely see it. I'm starting off with issue number 60 and I'm beginning to cut out the photo edge parts for this. The photo edge parts are tiny and they're also very tough. In fact, when I was trimming them, I actually broke my sprue clippers. Sorry, not clippers, cutters. As you can see on the photo there, as I was trimming it, they just broke. And that was a fairly new pair as well. So that gives you an indication how thick this photo edge is. It's causing difficulties to cut from the sprue. The only way I'm doing it, able to do it is with a new blade, and that dulls down very quickly. So I'm going through a lot of blades on my hobby knife for this, but that's the nature of the beast, I suppose. So I'm just putting on these photo edge parts. First of all, it is a bottom plate, and then going on to a very small bracket that links into the opposite side. So that's the first part going in for the opposite side, making up these hinges or brackets. I don't think you're really going to get to see them all on the ship either, so I can't really see the point of them, but I'll put them on anyway. There's like 5 turrets, 5 twin guns, I should say, on this, or is it 6, something like that. So there's quite a few to make up, and you have to build onto the photo edge as well. So it's tiny parts onto tiny parts. Then it was onto the gun direction mechanism. It's a fairly simple construction, but every little lever and measurement dial has to be placed on to the main unit. So it is taking a lot of time. It took me about 3 days just to get the guns done. So I mean, I was surprised how long it's taking, but they are coming together quite well. I'm now putting on one of the levers. The cameras can't really pick this up too well because the parts are so small. I really need a steady hand to do this. As I said, it's taking a while to do. Next to make up is the ammo boxes. Now I'm using my bending tool here just to bend them in shape. Now these instructions on these ammo boxes are not 100% clear, and the actual written instructions are a bit confusing. So this set I actually made up wrong. I was able to sort it out in the end, but I had to take them apart and separate them into their various panels before re-gluing them back into position. So as you can see there, I've broken them down, and I'm just going to be assembling them back into the box style shape that needs to be for the ammo boxes. So now that I've built up the ammo box, I'm going to the second gun now, and building that one up was a little bit better now that I understood how it was meant to go. Once the boxes were built up, the bullet rack has to go on, as well as a divider, and these are simply just bent into position with my bending tool. There's no bending line on the ammo rack itself, so I had to measure that against the box to see where I was going to bend it. I don't know whether that was an oversight on the kit's part or not, but this photo edge is really tough, so you can't just place it on and bend it over with your finger. You really are going to need a bending tool to do so. To attach it was a simple case of putting a little bit of super glue over the box before placing the parts on. next to go on is the gun sights. So first of all, there's a photo etch plate that goes over the top of the guns, and once that's on there, I can then place the ammo boxes beside the actual gun mechanism itself. And then for the actual sights, again, I'm using my bending tool, just bending the sights up. If you are using something like a bending tool, on photo etch, make sure you get them lined up straight as well. They can quite easily slip out of position if you haven't clamped them down properly. And then the sights just fit over the back of the plate that I previously put on the levers, and that's it all but up. As you see, I've got a few there. Actually, there's only 3 on this batch. On the next batch, I think it's 5. So I'm just adding some more little levers, and there's a stabilizing crossbar going on at the end here. Yeah, there was only 3 thinking about this, and so that's the 3 Pom Pom guns done. Quite a lot involved building them, but still enjoyable nonetheless, even though I had 1 or 2 problems. Next up is issue 61. And I'm going to be doing the 4-inch twin guns. I got confused with the Pom Pom guns and the twin guns, just naming them at the start of this video. So if that's confused you, I do apologise. But these are definitely the twin guns. As you can see, they vary quite differently from the Pom Pom guns. The mount mechanism and the cover have to be built up. So first of all, I am concentrating on the actual guns themselves. Now, there's a couple of parts that you have to build on top of each other, and I've decided to do this on the sprue, just because the parts are so small, and it's easier just to cut one batch off, then place them on to the sprue. Now, I should point out as well, I don't actually know the proper names for these parts for the gun. So if you're thinking, oh, he said that wrong or whatever, that is because simply I don't know the names for these individual parts. So at the moment, I'm placing on the small parts on top of each other. So I'm just cut half them out, and a tiny little bit of super glue, then placing them on the sprue. And this is I think it's a movement mechanism. It's sort of arches with a centre collar support on it. Again, the parts are very small, so it's difficult to see how they actually go. So the arch or ratchet mechanism goes on in between the barrels, right on the main part of the gun. Then after that, which I'm just placing on now, is a little square bracket that lips over the end of the gun mechanism. The gun mount now is a fairly simple process to build. There's another bracket to be placed on, and there's 2 little columns of photo etch you have to put on the end, which I done on the sprue. And the only difference between this bracket and the other one is there's a lever on this one for the actual gun, which again is quite small and difficult to place on. But once you line it up, it does fit in quite easily. It's just a case of lining it up properly. And then that whole photo etch unit gets placed on the rear of the mount, slightly pointing downwards. On the underside, there's a turning plate that goes on. This is just a disc with teeth cut into it, and it simply just goes into the pin. It's quite a tight fit, this one, so I had to press it on quite firmly for it to go on. On the later guns, I actually put this on first when I was building them, because I had to press down that firmly. I was worried about bending the photo etch parts out of place. So once it was all on, it was a simple case of placing the gun in between the mount. There was 2 little location pins for this. However, when I was assembling the outer casing of the gun, I found it easier in the end to take the actual barrels off and snip down these location pins before placing the gun back in, just for a better fit. So as you can see there, I fitted the cover of the mount, and that was just simply placed on over the main mount, secured with a little bit of cement. And I'm just snipping off the location pins before pushing the gun in. As I said, it just made for a better positioning, really. And the pins were just causing the gun to rise up too much, and I didn't like the position of it. I should have pointed out also, there's two little photo etch parts on the front of the twin guns, just below the, just above the base of it. What they're there for, I'm not very sure, probably some sort of guard. But as you can see there, I'm just trimming up to finish the gun. So I think this is a good place to end part 6. I would have actually liked to have got more done. There's 2 more sets of guns to be made up, but I'll cover that in part 7, I think. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for the builds in this HMS Hood series, or indeed check out the other videos on the channel. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel for my future builds, or indeed for the updates of this project. Hit that like button, and of course leave a comment. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.